Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba, his deputies Fiso Buthelezi and SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane have officially launched the 2017 tax season at the SARS Orlando East branch in Soweto. Let's go live now to our specialist reporter Karen Morn. She's joined by SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much for your time, Commissioner Moyane. We know one of the biggest issues that's been raised in the recent months is this issue of tax refunds and the investigation by Judge Bernard Weber. Can you give us any update on that or what the progress of that investigation is?
No, thank you very much to your viewership, and certainly it's an issue that we've always wanted to have ventilated openly, so that transparency must prevail. We have engaged and we are still engaging with the tax ombudsman. Initial meetings have taken place, the teams are working together, and certainly I believe by the end of this month, all things being equal, we shall have a broader perspective wherein myself and the judge will sit down and look at the report where it needs refinement, and then it will be given a public opinion and as to how things have panned out. Certainly this gives the taxpayer and the traders confidence that we're not hiding things. We do need to admit that where there are problems, certainly our organization, SARS in particular, will deal with the issues that emanate from that report and try to be able to be proactive and address the problems that have been raised by the taxpayers. At no point have we disputed that there are problems, but we want to be able to have a scientific approach where every party has made his or her own contribution as to what are the fundamental, whether it's systemic or lack of communication between ourselves and the taxpayers. But certainly the issue of tax refund is a serious matter. It must be given the serious attention that it deserves, because at times we have paid money that are not supposed to have been paid, and there is a need for us to be able to bleed and stop that hemorrhage in the process.
So this isn't an issue of you withholding money to make your figures look better?
No. I don't think we should go there. We are not interested in that. We are saying SARS is in the business of collecting what is due to the fiscus. It will not help us, neither will it help the credibility of the institution to hold numbers in order to look as good. Because at the end of the day, the truth will come out that we are holding money in order to boost our egos and the numbers to tell the public that we're doing good. That cannot be. We need to be an organization that is accountable. We need to be able to hold our staff and employees accountable to do the right thing.
Well, on that issue, of course, that Jonas Magaka, your deputy, issue receiving a great deal of publicity, 1.3 million rand in unexplained payments, an in-depth investigation. We understand now that that report has been handed over to the finance minister. But is any criminal action being pursued against him? Is there any ongoing criminal investigation about those so-called irregular payments?
Well, let me say we are governed, I as the commissioner, by Chapter 6 of the Tax Administration Act. Makwakwa is an employee and a taxpayer. So you have dual things. I can't talk about his tax affairs.
But certainly in terms of credibility of the organization.
I'm coming to that. Issues of criminality are dealt by the enforcement agencies that are entrusted with that. I cannot comment on that. But on other issues that may be on discipline within the organization, I, as the commissioner, will be as transparent as possible to deal with that. But that you have raised of criminality, I cannot comment on that.
And on the disciplinary issue, is what is happening in terms of actually getting to the bottom of what happened here and his alleged intervention on behalf of the Mpasane family in their tax affairs?
Well, I'm saying the disciplinary process is taking place. I am not involved in that. All the HR matters will be dealt with, the finality of which, when it happens, we'll have to have a response to it.
Obviously, there've been a great deal of publicized reports about the refund, the alleged 70 million rand refund that was provided to the Gupta family, issues about the bank accounts utilized. Is SARS going to make any utterance or explanation on the basis for that refund at any time?
Well, every taxpayer is entitled to a refund. Every. I'm not talking of specific. And therefore, the Tax Administration Act says, I should not disclose your tax affairs. If you have a tax refund, it's not my duty to ventilate it in public. So it would be amiss of me at this particular point in time to talk about one particular taxpayer. But the fact of the matter is that the Tax Administration Section 69 imposes a sanction that we should not talk about. That is between us and the taxpayer. But the question is, it is criminal whoever is releasing information of the taxpayer, because tomorrow it will be you. Your tax affairs are private and confidential. It is I and the team, if it comes to my knowledge that there's a problem, that needs to be dealt with. So therefore, we need to be very careful as to how we deal with this matter.
So in other words, if you become aware of the individuals who may or may not have been releasing this confidential information, for instance, about the Guptas, you believe that they should face some kind of criminal sanction?
Of course, the act is very clear. It's very clear. I mean, confidentiality and the confidence of the taxpayer is that you as a taxpayer interviewing me here must move out of this place with the full knowledge that your information is confidential. And the word confidential, that it means, therefore, it is between the taxpayer and yourself. Why should it be in the public space?
Commissioner Moyane, we know that SARS is constitutionally empowered to do quite detailed financial investigations and to actually assist law enforcement agencies when it comes to uncovering corruption, money laundering, those poker-related issues. Have the Hawks approached SARS for assistance in the state capture investigation and the kind of information that has come out in the Gupta leaks investigations?
No, not at all.
And in terms of your mandate, can you go forward with your own investigation, or do you need to be approached?
No, we do our own investigations, and we have a right as a tax administration to do what is right in order for us to extract much fiscus that is denied to the organization. When that time comes, SARS, as always, will take a proactive approach.
So at this point, is SARS doing any kind of in-depth investigation of the basis of those Gupta leak emails, the allegations? Not at this point.
Not at this point. We hear about them, and as I've said, I'm not run by the media. I run by what is factually available at our disposal. Because once we do that, then we are all going to be distracted from the core business, which is the efficient and effective collection of revenue. But where we feel there is merit and prima facie evidence on such issues that are brought to us, not what we hear, then we deal with the matter.
So does someone actually have to make a complaint with SARS for the capture issue to be investigated?
Well, when it's brought to our attention, we deal with it.
But there's like I think there's several million emails that have been...
Well, I hear about them. As a commissioner, I hear about the 7 million, whatever it is. I have not seen the emails. I hear about them. And hearing about them does not necessarily mean that I need to move there. Yeah. Because bear in mind, the world has moved to what is called fake news. Some say it's news and fake news. But I, as a commissioner, must work on factual information at my disposal.
But surely if there's now an acknowledgement, at least by the finance minister himself, who was sitting here today, that those emails, many of them, he believes are genuine. So given that they expose, or suggest a lot of very inappropriate financial transactions.
That's the minister saying it as the highest authority. But then if that's the case, then they have to be cascaded to us. I can't work on something that I don't have. I work on factual issues and proof of documents that are at our disposal.
In terms of the SARS Rogue Unit investigation, there was a whole highly publicized incident at your offices where Flock Symington was videoed himself being held, he said kidnapped. Amongst the people he said was kidnapping him, who's recorded on those recordings, is your own protector. Has that issue been addressed? What was the involvement of your bodyguard in that whole issue, and have you been able to resolve it?
Two things. You're talking about the Rogue Unit, or talking about Flock?
Yeah.
Rogue Unit, let's push it aside. The Symington matter also is being dealt administratively internally. There are other enforcement authorities that are dealing with it. Once those investigations are completed, given the fact that they were in the public space, so there is no need for us to be hiding anyway. And when the results come out, the public will know. So whether it's my bodyguard or my personal protector involved or not, let's wait until we get the responses, because it is our duty to be able to have an institution that is credible, accountable to the South African people, and let the truth prevail.
Are you satisfied about your protector still working with you?
No, my protector is not with me. When this matter was ventilated to show transparency, because I don't want to conflate issues, he was moved away, so it should not be seen as if the commissioner is protecting him. I'm very much aware of where the limits of the law are. And I'm very much aware of public perceptions. He's not working with me. He's withdrawn. I have others who have come into his space. Once this matter is done, then he comes back to the fold.
And then finally, Commissioner Moyane, I don't know if you're aware, but last year, I think, or in 2015, it was reported on social media that you were seen having breakfast with Duduzane Zuma. Do you know if there's any truth to that? Have you ever interacted with Mr. Zuma in any capacity? Duduzane Zuma, the president's son.
Well, I've indicated at all costs I see everybody in life.
Okay.
And therefore, it precludes nothing in life. But certainly, I've made it very possible and very clear that I've known his mother, I've known he has grown under my hands, and therefore that does not exclude me meeting him if I don't need to meet him.
So it was a personal meeting?
I can meet anybody. I meet you now, and therefore it might be construed in certain angles.
Yeah.
My brother works with you, and therefore if I have to meet with him, is it saying that I share tax matters with him? So it means that the life of the commissioner is a little bit invidious, where I can't meet people. As to whether I've met him or not met him, it's a very funny setup in South Africa. I'm a public figure. I have life, and I need to meet people as and when it is necessary. And I meet top people, both in the political spectrum, who come to my office with their own problems, but I don't sit in the problems that they come and raise with the organization. Because I have technical teams, I defer them. So if I were to be seen with one public political figure, the connotations are going to be different. It is the writer who writes the story, but my version is going to be contorted. But I'm saying I don't want to be getting into a space wherein I'm cornered like a parrot in a cage. I'm a human being. I meet as he is my nephew by nature because I grew with a mother. He grew under me in Mozambique. So if I see him and I meet and stop, is that a crime?
Okay, thank you so much. So basically what you're saying is there's a personal relationship there.
I have a personal relationship with everybody. I meet anyone.
Okay.
If I'm stopped in a mall, then I'm going to be circumspect and say, oh, that person is this, I can't meet you. And then what does it make me? Unapproachable.
Okay.
I'm the commissioner for SARS, but at the same time I have a social life.
Thank you so much. That was Commissioner Tom Moyane saying that indeed he had a very close personal relationship with Duduzane Zuma, and that reports of them being seen having breakfast should in no way being construed as any kind of relationship that was not a personal one and had anything to do with his position at SARS. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much for that, Karen. A number of issues being addressed there, among them a pledge from the Commissioner for the utmost transparency. No investigation currently underway by SARS, says Tom Moyane.